Day, the 19th at 11 o'clock on Mountain Standard Time, 11 o'clock my time. This is live in studio with Emily. And this morning I have been super busy, and so I have a lot of things to share with you today. And as I mentioned, I'm going to show you kind of my new favorite way to do a quilt binding. So Amelia, do you mind grabbing that other quilt so I can remind them what we're going to talk about today? So like I said, I've been super busy. The one thing that I'm really busy with is I'm working on the update for my book. And one of the projects that I'm updating is this. So I'll show you this. Oh, I do love that. I love this plum botanical. And I just cut down the size of it because for me, it had too much negative space. And so this is the quilt that I'm going to demonstrate with the flange binding. So that's one thing. We'll get to that in a minute that I've been working on, but I also want to show you my progress with my tea set, my tea party, I guess. Amelia, will you hand me all that stuff there? Okay. Thanks. Those things too. Okay, so Amelia, I need those things too. Thanks. Okay, so last we talked, I think I showed you, I don't know, a couple of these. So I'm just going to show you again. It's kind of bright. That light is kind of bright. One of the tea kettles. Here's another little cup. We've got a sugar bowl and another teapot. Oh, I did a lot. So I was busy this week. This is kind of what I was working on. Another teapot, a fat yellow teapot, one that has flowers, and another blue teacup. So the other thing is, what I've done is this is using my parchment pressing method, which is not in my original book. And so that's why I am putting out a new edition of my original book, which is called Collage Quilter Essentials for Success. And I really love this technique. And one of the reasons that I love it is because I can create these elements and peel them off, and then they still have the sticky on them. And then I can take a piece of fabric. So here's kind of the palette that I am using for this project. So you can see it's kind of a more muted palette than what I normally use, but then I'll be creating blocks with all of these fabrics and all of these little teacups. So this is going in the new book. All of these patterns and information about that. Look how cute. I'm really excited about this. So this will be a fun one. And then the other updated project is, so I've got that. And then the other updated project that's already in there that has step-out photos, step-by-step photos, is this pretty plum quilt. And so today I'm just going to show you how to do the flange binding and why I like it. So a traditional quilt binding. Now I do have a video tutorial on YouTube about doing a continuous binding, and I love doing that. But the thing with that is that you've got to, or I prefer to do hand stitching on the back side so that it's finished off really cleanly and nicely. The benefit with doing a flange binding like this is that there's no hand stitching involved, so that I can stitch right along where this flange is. I can do a stitch in the ditch to apply the binding. So let me just walk through the steps. And again, we'll have step-by-step photography that will be in the book. And the book, you know, I keep saying it's going to be coming out. It's coming out. I'm working really hard on it. So I'm not going to give a date, but it'll be very soon because it's already, this is the final thing. these few last things. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift the camera angle and just kind of walk through the steps. I'm not going to show the stitching or anything, but I'm going to talk about what I've done and why I've done it. And if you have any questions along the way, just put them in the chat, and I will kind of look through the chat as we go. So let's see. Let me just, Amelia, are you looking at some of the chat?
Yeah.
Okay, Amelia will be kind of moderating the chat so that I can answer as I'm working. Okay, so let's get started. Let me just shift this camera angle down here so that you can see it. Put the light over here so we can see it. Now this is a live video, you know, so, okay. Can you see that okay, or is the angle just wonky? I wonder if I could turn it that way. Okay, so what the first step with this type of binding is that you're going to need 2 pieces of fabric, right? So they need to be high contrast. We need to make sure that the flange is a high contrast to the binding. So the sizes that I've selected, the flange piece always needs to be larger than the binding piece. And in this instance, this one is 2 1/4 inches. Okay, so this flange piece is 2 1/4 inches, and this is 1 3/4 inches. Okay, so just to remind you, so I'm going to cut, of course, I measured the perimeter of my quilt, and then I add 15 to 20 inches to that so that I can line the seams up so that it's a continuous binding. So I measured this, it's like 80 inches around, and so I'm doing 3 strips of fabric. So the way I figure that is, of course, I've got, let's just say 100 inches around, which also gives me, you know, extra to work with. And then I divide that by the width of fabric, which is 42 inches. So it comes out to be 2 and something. So I cut 3 strips of each, 3 strips of fabric of each of my selected pieces for the binding. So this one, again, is 1 3/4 inches, and I cut 3 strips of it. And then this one is 2 1/4, and I cut 3 strips of it. Now I put those together so that they're all one continuous strip each, okay? So for example, you can see very first step is that I create a continuous strip with this purple fabric, and I create a continuous strip with the binding fabric. So just to demonstrate here, I've got 2 pieces of fabric. Now, so if I want to create a continuous strip, I'm just going to remind you, many of you probably know, but what I'll do is on the right end of the binding, I'll put these perpendicular to each other. And then I want to sew the seam from the upper left corner to the bottom right corner, so that when I fold it over like this, it has just a perfect continuous seam that's on the angle, on the diagonal, 45 degrees, so that this will just be a beautiful continuous strip. So I do that with the purple, and I did it with the this crazy green cafe that Amelia picked out, and this is a strip that's in our green bundle, and the purple comes from our purple bundle. So this is another use for your fabric bundles as well, because we provide you 4 1/2 inch strips, so you can just cut them in half and then use them for your bindings as well. So what I've done then, after I've connected these and made one long continuous strip, then I put them together. So I just sewed a 1/4 inch seam along the edge of these long 100 inch strips. Okay, so you can see where I've just put them together. I've sewn a 1/4 inch, and you can really easily see that they are not the same size. And then when I'm finished with that, I opened it up and I pressed it. And then after I press it, I'm going to fold these in half. And I've already pressed this. So edge to edge, fold it in half like this so that those raw edges match. And then there is the little flange that peeks out. So then I press that, and that is my binding. And then the really nice thing again is I can just apply this to the back. So if I were going to apply this to the back, I would give myself some wiggle room, because when I want to connect these two pieces, so I'm going to sew this all the way around, I want to make sure that I leave some edge. So I'm going to start my quilting right about, let's say, I'm going to give myself about right there. And I put a pin right there so that I know that that's my, ouch, that's my starting point. So I line the raw edge. Oh, wait, you know what? I made a mistake. I actually have to do it with the flange edge up. So it has to go like this. Okay, good thing I caught that. So what I'll do is flange up and mark it. That's my beginning spot, okay? And then I will just stitch along, do a 1/4 inch stitch all along this edge, so that I'm going to just show you what this will look like. Let's get a nice little 1/4 inch here, and I'll flip it over and just show you how good this is going to look. So this is what I'm going to do. I will stitch right along that edge, lining up those raw edges. And then when I flip it over, it's going to look like this. Look at that. Isn't that nice? So that is how I'm going to do this binding. And then the great thing is I don't have to do any hand stitching. I'm going to stitch in the ditch right there along that seam line. And I'll just select a purple, dark purple thread and stitch along that. And that will secure my binding so that there's no hand binding. So the corners I'll handle just like I did in my video tutorial, where I'll stitch, right up here and then fold it back so that I can make a perfect mitered corner. And you can learn more about the mitered corner and creating a perfect continuous binding strip on the YouTube channel. So I just wanted to show you. So you would treat this just like your continuous binding strip, but the benefit is that you can machine stitch the whole thing, and then it's got that cute little flange there. So that's the tutorial for today. There are some more options with this, and maybe I'll do more of a recorded video to show you a few different things about matching the edges up on the end on the last section. But anyway, so that's what I'm working on. That's what's going on in studio with Emily. My teacups, I'm getting these final quilts ready, and then Amelia and I will be doing final photography for the book, which will be available soon. So let's take a look at some questions, if there are any questions. Oh boy, my hair is I have really fluffy curly hair, and you guys can see that right now. Okay, so Amelia, do you see any that
Yeah, someone asked if I'm not very skilled at stitch in the ditch, will my hand sewn border look bad with the flange?
Okay, so somebody just asked if my machine stitch in the ditch isn't very good, will my hand stitching look bad? No, that won't look bad at all. In fact, if I were, you could do hand stitching with even a running stitch with a contrasting thread. That would be beautiful. So, let's play and have fun. So if you don't feel comfortable stitching in the ditch, Yeah, go ahead and hand stitch that. You can hand stitch it if you have beautiful fine hand stitching, or even if you don't, go ahead and do some big rough stitches to make them show off. Just know that whatever you do will show up on the back, but who cares? I am going to match my thread, so I'll do bobbin. My bobbin thread will be white to match the quilting, so that yeah, you will see the stitch line all the way around, but it's nice and tidy, and it just kind of frames the quilt. And I like to use fabric for the back of a quilt that's kind of crazy anyway, to kind of hide any mistakes that I've done in my quilting or stitching. So, okay, any other questions?
Someone asked to see the quilting up close.
Oh yeah, let me show you the quilting up close. No, I did not do this quilting. As you know, sometimes I will hire someone to do my quilting. And let me show you what she did. So we've got a lot of negative space. This light is kind of light, and it's, we have a lot of negative space in this. So she just did a pebble on the background, and then the leaves have that really dense, kind of just a long stitch that just kind of meanders all the way down. And she's done that on all the leaves. The flower petals are just kind of, like this. And then there's a stipple on the plums. And she changed the thread with each color. So we've got purple thread, we've got light pink, and we've got green and brown, and then white in the background. And the thing to notice too is that this is all very dense quilting. So you can see that it's, as I have always said, no more than a ½ inch between stitch lines. And sometimes they're as small as an 1/8 of an inch between stitch lines. So that's the quilt. I think this turned out really cute. I'm really happy with it. And again, I just cut off the edges of it because I wasn't very happy. For some reason, this quilt kind of always bugged me. I love the collage part, but so I went ahead and just cut the edges off just to kind of move the focus in on the quilt and frame it a little bit better. And then I'm going to put this kind of more exciting, crazy flange binding on it. I think it's going to look really nice. Let's see if we have other questions here. I want to say hello to everybody. Let's see, we've got from Florida and Bartlett, Texas, Maryland, Oregon coast, Indiana, South Africa. Welcome. Gosh, I'm so glad to have you here. And Newfoundland, Canada. Doris likes the teacups. Thank you. Just another little kind of fun thing. I kind of have in my head that it's going to be a Mad Hatter tea party. So I am thinking kind of wonky blocks. So anyway, I'll keep you up to date. You guys get the sneak peek preview of what is happening. Medicine Lodge, Kansas. Nancy from Amherstburg, Ontario. Costa Rica. Thanks, you guys, so much for joining me. Man, it really is the highlight of my week to say hello to all of you. And dang, I wish we could all be together and have a big fat party. South Africa, Anne, thank you for being here. Is there, okay, so I don't think, so the only other question that I see is from Krista, and she says, will this pattern be available for sale? So this pattern is going to be in the book. It actually currently is in the book as well, in the Collage Quilter Essentials book, but I am updating the book, and so that old version is not available, at least not through my website. And I promise that it will be worth the wait to get the new updated version. So real quick, I think, Amelia, will you continue to just, oh, Sherry just asked, is the red bundle about ready? We have the majority of our fabric here. Ready to go, and we are still waiting on just a few more bolts from the manufacturers. So when we get those final few red bolts, because remember, we put 18 pieces of fabric in each of our bundles. So it's a really great assortment, and I don't want to deviate from that because I just think it's just a perfect amount. So the red bundles, gal, we're hoping to get those ASAP. A few more announcements that I want to remind you about. If you are interested, I am teaching at the Collage. Let's see, what am I teaching? I'm teaching at the World Online Quilt Show, the Mancuso show. And there are just a couple more seats for this class, and a few more seats for the Clementine class. And each of those is a 3-hour class where I will go into the color theory and the idea of creating contrast in your collage quilts and how to do it effectively. And then this one is focusing on the parchment paper technique. The Clementine is using the pre-printed foundation panel. So for those of you who've signed up, thank you. I'm super excited to have you join me. That is a Zoom format. So I do like to be able to see people. So you will be on camera with me if you want to, so that we can really have more of a dialogue. Okay. Let's see. Julie just asked, looking forward to the updated book. Are you taking pre-orders? We will be doing pre-orders very soon. I will be making that available right away. We just had somebody join us from Lancaster County. That's where we drove right through your neck of the woods last month, and we loved it. You live in a beautiful area. Okay. Is there anything else, Amelia, that we need to go over? Oh gosh, guys, my hair. I'm so embarrassed. I gotta pull myself together. Amelia, is there anything else that we need to go over? Just the upcoming workshops that I've got with the World Quilt Show. The book is coming, and just Midway. Yep, we're moving forward with Midway. So if you are interested in joining me for a 3-day workshop in Midway, Utah next year, we're taking information. So we've got just a landing page right now, and if you'll put your address and information in there, as we get that all sorted out, we're going to send you some information. So that is on for June 15th through the 18th of 2022 in Midway, Utah. That is in my backyard. And I have grown up going to Midway, and I know all the great places to eat and hike. And it's a beautiful resort that's just been remodeled. All the rooms are brand new. So I would love to have you join me for that. Okay, so let's see. Amy said, if we already have the book, where there'll be
Will there be?
Where?
No, just.
I'm sorry, I was reading what she wrote. Will there be an updated section edition available? Amy, I don't know yet I'm sure I will make an update available. So hang tight for that. Let's see. Michelle said, ooh, you sell fabrics too. Yay. Yes. So just again, real quick, we do sell fabric bundles, and those fabric bundles are curated by me. I pick out every single piece of fabric according to color, and in that color is a spectrum from light to dark and warm to cool. And you'll know why I'm doing that if you've ever been in one of my workshops, because that's kind of my thing. I'm really into understanding color. So let's see. Somebody Bird K just asked, can you show how you sew around the finished quilt? Just finished my first. Yeah, so I'm kind of hooked up here and I don't have my machine, but I will do step out photos that show this. So again, I'll just walk through this real quick. Remember I said for the binding, let me make sure, show how you sew around the finished quilt. So remember how I said what you're going to do is you're going to line these once you have your binding. And again, you can look at the other binding tutorial that's on YouTube. This is a slightly different method. So you're going to line your binding edge when you have your flange pieces together, your flange and your binding piece together, you're going to sew along that edge just a 1/4 inch, and then you'll flip it over so that the finished binding will look like that. And then I'll sew it to the front by stitching in the ditch. Okay, so I'll either do a video or do some photos of what we're working on so that I can share that with you. Okay, so Stella from Brazil. Okay, I think she said no, or the artwork. Sorry, not the binding. So sorry, my fault. Are you talking about the quilting bird? Because I do have some information about quilting, but I'm not going to demonstrate the quilting right now. But I'm happy to try and help you. And I do have lots of videos about quilting, and I think it would be great to do a quilting tutorial on the parrot. One other thing I have been working on is another parrot. Amelia, will you hand me the parrot that's pinned right there, and then bring that other parrot over? Because we've had some people wondering when the parrot is coming out, and I hope this will be out in August. We're at the end of July almost. So I'm working on so we'll have a pair of parrots that's out. So I've been working on this as well. I told you I've been busy. Here is the original parrot that's all ready to quilt. So I've pressed this whole thing. I've made my quilt sandwich with the batting, and then I've got my back on. And so maybe what I'll do is offer a video about how I'm going to do my free motion quilting on my domestic machine. I think I can do that pretty easily. So I hope that will help you, whoever is looking for the quilting. So I'll do that. Well, that will be in a separate video. Okay, so there we have it. That's everything that's going on with me. I hope you guys all are well. Nance just asked, could you say again how wide each of the strips are? So you can choose how wide you want them to be, but just remember that the flange piece needs to be bigger than your binding piece, okay, by at least a 1/4 inch. If it's a 1/4 inch, it's just going to barely stick out, okay, like that. So you could even do a larger flange if you make your flange piece a 1/2 inch. Now that would be really cute too. So for me, what I've done is, let me see, I wrote it down. My flange piece is 2 1/4 inches. And then my binding piece is 1 3/4 inches. And then I've sewn them together like this. And so that's how I've done it. So, okay, sounds great. I thank you all for joining me. Don't forget that you can check out all of the resources that I have available on my website, Collage Quilter. And I have video tutorials, free video tutorials at YouTube, my Collage Quilter channel. And I have Facebook groups that I would love to have you join, and we can connect. So thanks again. I will see you. I will not be here next Monday. I'm going to be in Glacier National Park with my son and my nephew. So I will see you in 2 weeks from today. Okay. Oh gosh, look at my hair. I'm so sorry. I'll pull myself together better next time. Okay, you guys have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.